So this is all part of the same family. Bali Maharaj being the, how did it go? Bali Maharaj was the grandson of Prahlad. So when when Krishna took the form of Vamanadev, who was the previous incarnation of Vasudeva, of Mother Yasoda couldn't hear the baby, but the little children were watching the baby, and with their own eyes, all together, they saw what had happened. But the parents couldn't believe it because they were thinking that Krishna was just their little child.
We have heard of peoples being haunted by ghosts. Having no gross material body, a ghost seeks shelter of a gross body to stay in and haunt. Katasur was a ghost who had taken shelter of the handcart and was looking for the opportunity to do mischief to Krishna. When Krishna kicked the cart with his small and very delicate legs, the ghost was immediately put down to the earth and his shelter dismantled, as already described. This was possible for Krishna because he has full potency, as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita 5.32, Srimad Bhagavatam 10.7.9 purport.
So, because Prabhupada here is talking about ghosts, we'll just tell a little ghost story that Prabhupada told. We heard about one ghost story when Prabhupada was in London, and then another ghost story when he was in Lucknow. So this ghost story happened when Prabhupada was a businessman here in India. And there was one Muslim man who he was doing business with, and sometimes he would invite the man to take prasadam at his home. So they set a date, and the man was supposed to come at a particular date. But when Prabhupada looked at the calendar, he saw that that date was Ekadasi. But there was no way to inform the man. No telephones, the man was going to come, and when the man came, Prabhupada folded his hands and he apologized. He said, "I'm so sorry. Today is Ekadasi, and today we're fasting. I can't feed you any grains." So the Muslim man, he said, "Oh, I'm so happy, because I also observe Ekadasi." So Prabhupada said, "How is that?" So he said, "One day I was walking through a forest, and I heard some people laughing. So I went off of the road to see what was going on and who it was, and it was some ghosts. And they were laughing like they were having a festival. So he asked them, "Why are you laughing?" And the ghost said, "We're laughing because tomorrow one man is going to be riding on a horse, and the horse is going to trip. He's going to fall off of the horse, crack his head, and die, and become a ghost and join us. So we're rejoicing." So the man, he went to the village, and he went to the house of that man to warn him in advance. But the man had already come out of his house, he was already on the horse, and right in front of that man, the horse tripped, the man fell off of the horse, and he cracked his head and died. So he was too late. So next day, he was walking through the forest again, but this time he heard crying. So he went over again to the ghosts, and he asked them, "Why are you crying now?" He said, "Well, exactly as we told you happened. He fell off of the horse, he cracked his head, and he died. But that morning, he had an argument with his wife, and he fasted the whole day. And that day happened to be Ekadasi. So when he died, he immediately got liberated." So after the Muslim man heard the ghost tell him that, from that day onwards, he always observed Ekadasi. So this story was told by Badri Narayan Maharaj here in Vrindavan about the glories of Ekadasi and how we can even learn from the ghosts that we have to observe Ekadasi.
Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti pashyanti panti kalayanti chiram jaganti ananda chinmaya sadujjvala vigrahasya govindadi purusham tamaham vajami. Krishna's body is Satchidananda Vigraha, Brahma Samhita 5.1, or Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Vigraha. That is, any of the parts of his Ananda Chinmaya body can act for any other part. Such are the inconceivable potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord does not need to acquire these potencies. He already has them. Thus Krishna kicked his little legs and his whole purpose was fulfilled. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:7-9 purport.
So his Ananda Chinmaya body could do anything. His senses are interchangeable. So just with his little foot, through the kicking of the wheel only. And this Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Vigraha, we also in our spiritual body have those qualities, because when we attain the Swarup Siddhi, our eternal form, that's also spiritual body. So Krishna, he can eat with his eyes, and he can eat with his ears, he can kill with his little soft foot. Anything is interchangeable. So also in the spiritual world, all of these senses are interchangeable. That means even now when we see prasadam, we're enjoying the prasadam so much as if it's as if we're eating it. So this means our senses are becoming purified. And also when we hear beautiful prayers, we become so satisfied. So gradually as our senses become purified, we're able to do more and more things with those senses in spiritual service to Krishna.
Also, when the handcut broke, an ordinary child would have been injured in many ways. But because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he enjoyed the dismantling of the cart, and nothing injured him. Everything done by him is Ananda Chinmaya Rasa, full transcendental bliss. Thus Krishna actually enjoyed. The nearby children saw that actually Krishna had kicked the wheel of the cart, and this was how the accident happened. By the arrangement of Yogamaya, all the gopis and gopas thought that accident had taken place because of some bad planet or some ghost. In fact, everything was done by Krishna and enjoyed by him. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:7-9 purport.
So, in the killing of this demon Shaktasura, according to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we heard yesterday, that this is when Krishna, he destroys our bad habits, both old habits and new habits. So when we hear the killing of these different demons, and we hear the names of Krishna according to the killing of the demons, Putana Gatana, Shakata, Shakata Gatana, Shakata, Sanhari. So when we're chanting these beautiful names of Krishna, we should be praying to Krishna that he kill these demons in our heart also. Our bad habits, both old and new, can be destroyed by Krishna's little kick.
Those who enjoy the activities of Krishna are also on the platform of Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. They are liberated from the material platform. When one develops the practice of hearing Krishna Katha, he is certainly transcendental to material existence, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Saguna samatitaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Bhagavad Gita 14.26. Unless one is on the spiritual platform, one cannot enjoy the transcendental activities of Krishna. Or in other words, whoever engages in hearing transcendental activities of Krishna is not on material platform, but on the transcendental spiritual platform. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:7-9 purport.
So here in this picture of Braj, you have so many different devotees with different relationships of Krishna, with Krishna. You have the elderly gopis and gopas and the different residents of Braja. You have the young gopis, you have Krishna's cowherd boyfriend, you have the animals and the trees and the land and the mountains and the birds. So every single individual in Braj is a devotee. Even the grass, even the birds. Srila Prabhupada told us that here in Vrindavan, present. The trees and the birds are already back to Godhead. They're already engaged in their service to Krishna. Now we're hearing the peacocks singing. So these peacocks sing, they're already back to Godhead. So each individual living entity has an eternal relationship with Krishna. And in each one of the rasas, there are perfect models of the perfect love in those rasas, just like Mother Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj. They're the perfection of Vatsalya Ras. Of course, Radharani and the Gopis, they're perfection of Madhurya Ras. And in Sakya Ras, when we come to the Bhoganda Leela, we'll hear about all the different groups of Krishna's cowherd boyfriends. And in each one of those different types of groups, they have also the perfect models, the names and the different types of service they do. And what we can do is, because Krishna is not like us, he doesn't just have one form. We learn from his Dwarka Leela that when he married 16,108 wives, he lived individually with each one of those wives so that they could serve him. That was their eternal relationship with them. So when we have a particular rasa with Krishna, we see who the perfect models are, and we try to learn from them how to perfect our love for Krishna. And it's not that Krishna is only with them. No, he expands himself. And that's why as Paramatma, he guides us to him. And then in the spiritual world, we have this personal relationship with Krishna. We know that during the rasa dance, Krishna expanded to dance with each and every gopi. They all thought that each one of them was dancing with Krishna personally. The cowherd boys also, when they sat and had their lunch, they thought that Krishna was sitting right next to them. So he expands like that for each and every devotee. And when we hear these Braja pastimes, now we're hearing mostly about the Vatsalya Ras, we can appreciate this pure love that Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Devi and all the elderly associates of the mother and father of Krishna have for Krishna.
The assembled gopis and gopas, unaware that Krishna is always unlimited, could not believe that baby Krishna had such inconceivable power. They could not believe the statements of the children, and therefore they neglected these statements as being childish talk. Thinking that some bad planet had attacked Krishna, Mother Yashoda picked up the crying child and allowed him to suck her breast. Then she called for experienced brahmanas to chant Vedic hymns and perform an auspicious ritualistic ceremony. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.7, 10 and 11. Purport. Whenever there is some danger or some inauspicious occurrence, it is the custom of Vedic civilization to have qualified brahmanas immediately chant Vedic hymns to counteract it. Mother Yashoda did this properly and allowed the baby to suck her breast.
Now they were already having one ceremony, the Uttana festival. That's why everyone had come there, and that's why there were so many people, and Yashoda Mai couldn't hear Krishna crying. Now they're going to have a second festival. The Brahmins are already there, and Mother Yashoda, what was she doing previously before Shakadasura was killed? She was busy greeting all the guests and distributing charity, giving gifts, giving cows. Now in the second festival, they're going to do it all over again.
It's the festival by what reason?
What?
It's what occasion festival?
The second one? The second one because Krishna was saved when the cart fell down. And they thought that maybe a ghost or a planet had caused the cart to fall down.
Always festival.
While the discussion was going on, baby Krishna cried. Without remonstration, Mother Yashoda picked the child up on her lap and called the learned brahmanas to chant holy Vedic hymns to counteract the evil spirits. At the same time, she allowed the baby to suck her breast. If a child sucks the mother's breast nicely, it is to be understood that he is out of all danger. After this, all the stronger cowherd men put the broken cart in order, and all the scattered things were set up nicely as before. The Brahmanas thereafter began to offer oblations to the sacrificial fire with yogurt, butter, kusha grass and water. They worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead for the good fortune of the child. Krishna Book, Chapter 7.
So this sucking of the baby, maybe you've seen, and nowadays they have a plastic pacifier, because when a baby wants to suck the mother's breast, because that way the baby gets nourishment, and also the baby has the warmth and the protection of the mother right there. You see with the monkeys, the little baby monkey is always attached to the mother by the breast. He'll be looking around here and there, but he never lets go of the mother's breast, because he knows then that he's protected by the mother by holding on to the breast. So when a baby is holding on to the mother's breast, he feels protected, he feels safe, and he has that nourishment of the milk. So that's why immediately when there's any disturbance for a child, the mother gives the baby milk. The other thing is, no, that's all.
It's interesting that they cowherd men put the cart together. Usually something is broken, they just discard those things, but maybe because Krishna touched it, so they got it together. After the strong, stout cowherd men assembled the pots and paraphernalia on the handcart and set it up as before, the Brahmanas performed a ritualistic ceremony with a fire sacrifice to appease the bad planet, and then with rice grains, kusha, water and yogurt, they worshipped the Supreme Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.7.12. Purport. The handcart was loaded with heavy utensils and other paraphernalia. To set the cart back in its original position required much strength, but this was easily done by the cowherd men. Then, according to the system of Gopajati, various Vedic ceremonies were performed to appease the calamitous situation.
Now you'll notice that those wheels are made out of wood. When the first Ratha Yatra cart was made, Prabhupada told the devotees to make the wheels out of wood. But they didn't listen to Prabhupada. They made them out of metal. And the metal wheels, because a cart is so heavy. Now this cart, it says here, these strong and stout cowherd men, there was so much paraphernalia, but they set everything right again because wood can always be put back together again. So they put the cart back together again and put all the things back on the cart. But what happened with the Ratha Yatra cart, which is so very heavy, tons and tons of wood. So by putting the metal wheels on, the wheels, wherever the spokes were, the metal became flat in between. You understand? It all collapsed. The metal collapsed because of the weight of the carts. So eventually, the cart itself was bumping along, and they could hardly get the wheels to move at all because of the flat part. So wooden wheels are actually very, very strong. These cowherd men, understanding that, they didn't discard it. They put everything back together again, and then those strong wheels were able to hold all of the paraphernalia. About this Gopa Jati. So Jati means the particular, what type of family you're born in. So of course the Vaishyas, the Gopas, they have particular ceremonies that they perform. Just like the Kshatriyas, they have ceremonies that they perform, the Rajasuya, the Asvamedha. The Vaishyas don't perform those ceremonies. They perform because they have the Brahmins living in their community with them. These are not ordinary Brahmins. These are special Brahmins for the Gopa Jati, for the particular ceremonies that the Vaishyas perform at auspicious occasions.
The Brahmanas who were present at that time were all qualified because they were not envious. They never indulged in untruthfulness, they were never proud, they were non-violent, and they never claimed any false prestige. They were all bona fide Brahmanas, and there was no reason to think that their blessings would be useless. With firm faith in the qualified Brahmanas, Nanda Maharaj took his child on his lap and bathed him with water mixed with various herbs, while the Brahmanas chanted hymns from Rigveda, Yajurveda and Samavedas. Krishna Book, Chapter 7.
So in this particular ceremony, Nanda Maharaj took part with Krishna on his lap. Now these Brahmanas, for instance, we know about one Brahmin family that had that took major part in Krishna's pastimes, and that was the mother of Sandipani Muni, Purnamasi, and she brought her 2 grandchildren with her, Nandimukhi and Madhumangal. So Madhumangal, being a little Brahmin boy, he had so much fun with Krishna. He's one of Krishna's dearest friends. And these Brahmins who were engaged by Nanda Maharaj to perform the different Gopajati ceremonies, they were pure, of course. They lived in Braj with Krishna. They got to see Krishna all the time and do so many ceremonies for him. So they had all of the genuine qualities that you read about in Bhagavad Gita of Brahman.
It is said that without being a qualified Brahmana, one should not read the mantras of the Vedas. Here is the proof that Brahmanas were qualified with all the Brahmanical symptoms. Maharaj Nanda also had full faith in them. Therefore, they were allowed to perform the ritualistic ceremonies by chanting the Vedic mantras. Krishna Book, Chapter 7.
Now many times the Brahmanas, they'll set up pots and make different arrangements, make special kotis and invite the demigods, and they'll even invite Vishnu to come for their ceremonies, for their yagyas. But here, these Brahmanas are so fortunate that the Supreme Personality of God himself is present, and they're performing all these yagyas for his pleasure directly.
There are many different varieties of sacrifices recommended for different purposes. The mantras are all to be chanted by qualified Brahmanas. And because in this age of Kali such qualified Brahmanas are not available, all Vedic ritualistic sacrifices are forbidden. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has therefore recommended only one kind of sacrifice in this age, namely Sankirtana Yajna, or simply chanting the Mahamantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Book, Chapter 7.
So it's true there are particular yagyas that are forbidden in Kali Yuga, but that doesn't mean that we should stop performing all yagyas and all samskaras. Srila Sanatana Goswami, Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and their associates here in Vrindavan, they conferred together to write the Satkriya, what's called Satkriya? Satkriya Sara, yes, in which the different Vaishnava sanskaras and ceremonies are described, which mantras to chant, and the sanskaras should never be given up, because it's the sanskaras that guide one through human life, from preconception up to the moment of death. So if we can't chant mantras perfectly, we can call Vaishnava Brahmins who have learned these mantras as given by Sanatana Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who have learned from their gurus and they're to chant these mantras, and we should perform the sanskaras. Even if we personally can't do it, we ask the Brahmin devotees to do it for us. But if we can't do anything else, we should chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, because that's the recommended yajna in Kali Yuga, according to Sukadeva Goswami and according to Lord Brahma, Narada Muni, and everyone in our parampara.
As the Brahmanas chanted the Vedic hymns and performed ritualistic ceremonies for the second time, Nanda Maharaj again gave huge quantities of grains and many cows to them. All the cows which were given in charity were covered with nice gold embroidered garments, and their horns were bedecked with golden rings. The hooves were covered with silver plate, and they wore garlands of flowers. He gave so many cows just for the welfare of his wonderful child. And the Brahmanas in return bestowed their heartfelt blessings, and the blessings offered by the able Brahmanas were never to be baffled. Krishna Book, Chapter 7.
So the best we could find was the picture of a statue of a cow, because nowadays when people give cows in charity, they usually give cows that are useless, that don't give milk anymore, and they want to get rid of them, so they give them in charity to a goshala. And very rarely will you find a cow decorated with golden rings on their horn and silver-plated hooves and gold embroidered cloth. The best they can do is they and then sometimes they'll put a cloth on but it's certainly not gold embroidered. So in Kali Yuga, the cows are not worshipped and given in charity in the same way that in previous yugas they were given. This is Dwapara Yuga still. Krishna's present, he's directly there. So the cows were given the utmost respect, especially in Braja, where every member of the community depended upon the cow. The Brahmins for their yajnas, the Vaishyas for their livelihood, Kshatriyas were in Mathura ruling, and Sudras were the people who helped the Vaishyas and the upper class with the work that had to be performed.
When Brahmanas are free from envy, untruthfulness, unnecessary pride, grudges, disturbances by opulence of others, and false prestige, their blessings never go in vain. Considering this, Nanda Maharaj soberly took Krishna on his lap and invited such truthful Brahmanas to perform a ritualistic ceremony according to the holy hymns of the Samaved, Rigved and Yajurved. Then, while the hymns were being chanted, he bathed the child with water mixed with pure herbs, and after performing a fire ceremony, he sumptuously fed all the Brahmanas with first-class grains and food. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:7-13-15.
Now we can compare these Brahmins to Yajnik Brahmins that lived in Mathura, who, when Krishna and the cowherd boys, on the advice of Krishna, went to beg just some prasadam from these Mathura Vasi Yajnik Brahmins, they wouldn't even speak to them. These Brahmins were so pure. It says free from envy, and then afterwards it says disturbance by the opulence of others. So that's another form of envy, when you see the opulence of envy of other people, and you want that opulence also. But these Brajabasi Brahmins had all of the good qualities of Brahmin, and they were free from all of these unwanted qualities such as pride, envy, untruthfulness, false prestige, etc. So therefore Nanda Maharaj engaged them, and when he asked them, after giving them profuse charity of grains and cows, the Brahmins very happily blessed Nanda Maharaj's child. And what did he bless them with? With longevity, with good health, with all of the things that a little child would require for growing nicely.
Nanda Maharaj was very confident about the qualifications of the Brahmanas and their blessings. He was fully confident that simply if the good Brahmanas showered their blessings, child Krishna would be happy. Blessings of qualified Brahmanas can bring happiness not only to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but to everyone, because Krishna is self-sufficient. He does not require anyone's blessings. Yet Nanda Maharaj thought that Krishna required the blessings of the Brahmanas. What then is to be said of others? In human society, therefore, there must be an ideal class of men, Brahmanas, who can bestow blessings upon others, namely upon Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras, so that everyone will be happy. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:7, 13 to 15 purport.
7. So Nanda Maharaj, he had full faith in these Brahmins, and therefore he was very happy to give them charity. He knew this charity wouldn't be misused. He knew they weren't greedy. And then the Brahmins very happily gave the blessings to the whole family. Brahmins are required in every society. Nowadays, in the universities, they're teaching not Brahminical qualities, but they're teaching people how to become first Kudras and businessmen, at best, Vaishyas. So, but what Prabhupada wanted to establish was the Gurukula system, so that from age 5, the child is trained in Brahminical qualities. Therefore, he established this Gurukula here, and he wanted them to learn the Vaishnava qualities and the Shastras, and a little bit of math and English and things that were required for practical living. But particularly, he wanted these boys to learn Brahminical life. So fortunately, a Vaishnava automatically has the qualities of a Brahmin. So if we remain devoted to Krishna as Vaishnavas, all of these Brahminical qualities can also develop within each of us.
Krishna therefore says in Bhagavad Gita 4.13 that human society must have 4 social orders. Chaturanyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagasha. It is not that everyone should become a Shudra or a Vaishya and the human society will prosper. As enunciated in Bhagavad Gita, there must be a class of Brahmanas with qualities like Satya, truthfulness, Shama, peacefulness, Dhamma, self-control, and Titiksha, tolerance. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:7, 13 to 15 purport.
So nowhere is it mentioned in these qualities of Brahmin, Janma, Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. So a person who has these Brahminical qualities such as Satya, Sama, Dhamma and Titiksha, he can be accepted as a Brahmin. And this is how Lord Chaitanya was able to transform even people born out of Brahmin families into Brahmin Vaishnavas, Vaishnava Brahmins. Now some of his followers were born in Brahminical families such as Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, but because they were forced into the service of the Mohammedan king, they were rejected by the Brahmin community. There were others also, though they were Brahmins and high-class birth, they were rejected by the Brahminical society. But by Lord Chaitanya's mercy, because they had the qualities of a Brahmin, he accepted them and he put them on the platform not only as Brahmins, but they became Goswamis. Then there are other followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who were born in Kayasta and other such lower grade families, but he also accepted them as Vaishnavas and took their association. So it's never by birth that one is judged whether he's Brahmin or in the other varnas or in the other varnas. It's by qualities, by one's guna and one's karma.
Here also, in the Bhagavatam, Nanda Maharaj invites qualified Brahmanas. There may be caste Brahmanas, and we have all respect for them, But their birth in Brahmana families does not mean that they are qualified to bestow blessings upon the other members of human society. This is a verdict of the Shastras. In Kali Yuga, caste Brahmanas are accepted as Brahmanas. Vipratve sutramevahi. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:12-3. In Kali Yuga, simply by putting on a thread worth 2 paise, one becomes a Brahmana. Such Brahmanas were not called for by Nanda Maharaj. As stated by Narada Muni, 7:11:35 Srimad Bhagavatam, Yasya Yalakshanam Proktam. The symptoms of a Brahmana are stated in Shastra and one must be qualified with these symptoms. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:7:13-15 purport.
So one can go to the market and buy a thread and put it on and declare himself to be a Brahmin. But according to Narada Muni, who's topmost authority, it's the Lakshanam. Lakshanam is, he's decorated with the qualities of a Brahmin. So not only does he have a thread, but he's decorated with all of those qualities, Satya, Sama, Dhamma, Titiksha, that a Brahmin actually has.
The blessings of Brahmanas who are not envious, disturbed or puffed up with pride and false prestige, and who are fully qualified with truthfulness will be useful. Therefore, a class of men must be trained as Brahmanas from the very beginning. Brahmachari Gurukule Vasandato Gurur Hitam. Srimad Bhagavatam 7:12-1. The word Dantaha is very important. Danta refers to one who is not envious, disturbing or puffed up with false prestige. With the Krishna consciousness movement, we are trying to introduce such Brahmanas in society. Brahmanas must ultimately be Vaishnavas. And if 13-15 purport.
So this is described that even Prahlad Maharaj, who was born in a demoniac family, because he was a Vaishnava, he was considered better than a Brahmana. And he's one of the Mahajans. So anyone in any type of birth, if he has these qualities here, Danta, quality of Danta, being non-envious, not puffed up with false prestige, then he comes to the platform of being a Vaishnava. And according to Narada Muni, anyone who can chant Hare Krishna, it means they performed all of the yagyas, all of the requirements of a Brahmana, and in this lifetime now they've come to the platform of Vaishnava. So we're most fortunate that we've been given this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, because by this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra we can aspire to become pure Vaishnavas, and automatically the qualities of a Brahmin will come.
Srimad Bhagavatam 4:30-20 refers to becoming a Brahmana or understanding what is Brahman. Brahma janati iti Brahmana. One who is Brahma Bhuta is always happy, prasannatma, na shochati na kangshati. He is never disturbed about material necessities. Samah sarveshu bhuteshu. He is ready to bestow blessings upon everyone equally. Mad bhaktim late param. Bhagavad Gita 18.54. Then he becomes a Vaishnava. In this age, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur introduced a sacred thread ceremony for his Vaishnava disciples with the idea that people should understand that when one becomes a Vaishnava, he has already acquired the qualifications of a Brahmana. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:7-13-15 purport.
Now when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and then Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati introduced the initiation of non-born Brahmins to receive the Gayatri Mantra, there was a huge uproar from the Smarta Brahmins, the caste Brahmins. But Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was able to defeat them all through Shastra. So following in the line of his spiritual master Srila Prabhupada, he went so far that in the Western countries where the people are born into Mlecha and Yavana families, he also blessed them with the Gayatri Mantra, gave them the sacred thread, and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati also, he gave women the Gayatri Mantra, and Prabhupada followed in the footsteps of his spiritual master by giving the women also the Gayatri Mantra. though of course they don't wear the Brahmin thread. So this qualifies anyone, at least in the human form, if they develop the qualities of a Vaishnava, then automatically they become Brahmin and they can chant the Gayatri Mantra. But over and above that, Gayatri Mantra is not as powerful as the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is more powerful than any other mantra. So if we can chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra 24 hours, Prabhupada says 16 rounds on the beads and 100 rounds off of the beads. That means whatever we're doing, we can be chanting the holy name, and it's not just the holy name. We could be talking about Krishna, we can be singing about Krishna, we can be hearing about Krishna, and that means Vaishnava.
Therefore, in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, those who are twice initiated so as to become Brahmanas must bear in mind their great responsibility to be truthful, control the mind and senses, be tolerant, and so on. Then their life will be successful. It was such Brahmanas that Nanda Maharaj invited to chant the Vedic hymns, not ordinary Brahmanas. Verse 13 distinctly mentions Himsa Mana. The word Mana refers to false prestige or false pride. Those who were falsely proud, thinking that they were Brahmanas because they were born in Brahmana families, were not invited by Nanda Maharaj on such occasions. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:7, 13-15 purport.
So when we receive initiation from the spiritual master, that's the time of our spiritual birth. Birth means a beginning. It doesn't mean the end. It doesn't mean that now I've got it and it's over now. No, that's when our spiritual life begins. And from that point onwards, we have to maintain all of the qualities of an initiated Brahmin Vaishnava. And this is the responsibility of the disciple. We have a contract with our spiritual master, 4 regulative principles, and engage in both things, Bhagavad Vidhi and Pancharatriki Vidhi. So these are 2 tracks, and the train that's running on these tracks is the orders of the spiritual master. And the 2 tracks are essential for a train to run. The Pancharatriki Vidhi, that's the deity worship, is there for the purification of the body and the mind. Because when we engage in deity worship, we have to take bath, we have to keep everything clean. So these are all Brahminical qualities, very much required after initiation. And then the other Bhagavad Vidhi, that's the understanding of the Shastra and the preaching, the Shravanam and the Kirtanam and the Smaranam. So all of these activities are absolutely essential if we want to remain on the Vaishnav Brahmin platform.
Verse 14 mentions Pavitra Aushadhi. In any ritualistic ceremony, many herbs and leaves were required. These were known as Pavitra Patra. Sometimes there are Nimba leaves, sometimes bay leaves, mango leaves, Ashwatha leaves or Amalaki leaves. Similarly, there were Panchagavya, Panchashasya and Pancharatna. Although Nanda Maharaj belonged to Vaishya community, everything was known to him. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:7, 13-15 purport. Panchagavya is a mixture used in traditional rituals that is prepared by mixing 5 ingredients. The 3 direct constituents are cow dung, cow urine and milk. The 2 derived products are curd and ghee. Panchashasya is 5 grains: rice, barley, black sesame, moong and black whole urad. Symbolically, the 5 grains represent hope, well-being, happiness and fertility. Pancharatna are 5 types of gems.
Now these things are easy to acquire. The herbs are just leaves from trees, neem leaves, bale leaves, mango leaves, ashwatha, that means the peepal leaves, and amla leaves. So anyone can get those things, they're not expensive. Panchagavya also, we can get from the cow, cow dung, cow urine, cow milk. And then from the milk we make the curd, which is yogurt, and ghee. That's Panchagavya. Panchashashya, these 5 different types of grain, are also easily available. So these 2 things are very important. The Panchagavya, that's from the cow protection, and the Panchashashya, that's from the agriculture. So these 2 things always go together, even when offering the different yagyas. The cow products and the agricultural products are offered together to the Supreme Lord.
The most important word in these verses is Mahagunam, indicating that Brahmanas were offered very palatable food of exalted quality. Such palatable dishes were generally prepared with 2 things, namely food grains and milk products. Bhagavad Gita 18.44 therefore enjoins that human society must give protection to the cows and encourage agriculture. Krishi Goraksham Anijam Vaishyakama Svabhavajam. Simply by expert cooking, hundreds and thousands of palatable dishes can be prepared from agricultural products and milk products. This is indicated by the words Annam Mahagunam 10.7.13-15 purport.
So this is the cycle given to us by the Supreme Lord, that we perform yajna, and we perform yajna with milk products and grains. From this yajna, the rains come, and from the rains, the grains come. The cows eat the grains, and from eating the grains, they produce milk. So again, we have the 2 essential elements of a yajna, which is cow products and grains. So this cycle is all supported by cow protection and by agriculture. And therefore Krishna gives so much emphasis on this Krishi Go Raksha, why we have to protect the cows and engage in agriculture for the perfection of human life.
Still today in India, from these 2 things, namely food grains and milk, hundreds and thousands of varieties of food are prepared, and then they are offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Chaturvidha Shri Bhagavad Prasada Taram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati. Bhagavad Gita 9.26. Then the prasad is distributed. Even today in Jagannath Kshetra and other.
So in the Jagannath temple, they have the biggest kitchen in the entire world, and there are thousands of Brahmins who are engaged in cooking, and according to their family, according to their training, they have different responsibilities. Some work with the fires, some just cut up the vegetables, some bring the utensils, some bring the water. But the people who are working in the kitchen themselves, just like we're experiencing now in the lockdown, we have to have these covers over our nose and our mouth. All of them cover their nose and mouth when they're cooking because they don't want to contaminate any offered to Lord Jagannath. So under such strict restrictions, these Brahmins are the bhoga for Jagannath Ji. And then hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, they can feed up to lakhs of people per day. They prepare a certain amount regularly, but then on big festival days, they're able to increase that amount as much as required so that everyone gets Krishna Prasadam.
There are 4 kinds of prasad, Chaturvidha. Salty, sweet, sour and pungent tastes are made with different types of spices. And the food is prepared in 4 divisions called Charivya, Chushya, Leya and Peya. Prasad that is chewed, prasad that is licked, prasad that is tasted with the tongue, and prasad that is drunk. Thus there are many varieties of prasad prepared very nicely with grains and ghee, offered to the deity and distributed to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas and then to the general public. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.7.13-15 purport.
So there are 4 types of tastes. That's salty, sweet, sour and pungent. And according to these 4 different types of tastes, they produce different reactions in the body, according to Ayurveda. And there are 4 different ways to eat these 4 different tastes. The charvya, we already know what charvya means because of what Prahlad Maharaj says, that's chewing. Then chushya, chushya is licked. Then lehya is tasted with the tongue, and peya is that which is drunk. So of these 4 different types of tastes, there are 4 different ways to eat prasadam. And as we sing every day, Chaturidha Shri Bhagavat Prasado Swadvana Triptam Hari Bhakta Samhan Kritvaivat. Yes. How does it go? Kritvaivat Triptam.
Tim Bhajata Daiva Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam.
So the spiritual master is very pleased when he sees the devotees eating these 4 different types of prasadam.
This is the way of human society. Killing the cows and...
What?
Yeah. This is the way of human society. Killing the cows and spoiling the land will not solve the problem of food. This is not civilization. Uncivilized men living in the jungle and being unqualified to produce grain, food by agriculture and cow protection may eat animals. But the perfect human society advanced in knowledge must learn how to produce first-class food simply by agriculture and protection of cows. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:7, 13-15 purport.
So we'll start with this tomorrow because there's a lot to discuss. Hare Krishna.